Hi there, my name is Zach Alvarez, and I'm a theater studies major at UNC in Greeley, Colorado. This documentary starts in an Africana Studies class taught by Professor George. He teaches about social inequality and how it still affects our world today. We were given the choice to do an alternative project instead of a research paper, and I decided to make a documentary about colorblind racism. My goal is to make others aware of this social injustice in order to solve this problem or to make this problem better.
My name is Devin Trammell Fuller from North Charleston, South Carolina. Communications is my major. Yeah.
My name is Sade. I'm a freshman and I'm here for theater and English education.
Alright, well I'm Ian Fraser. I'm a freshman vocal performance major here at UNC. I'm hoping to take a double major in acting next semester.
Linnea Lee Grimble -Smith. Or my last two names can be flipped. I'm a first year freshman. What's my major? My major is biology with a health and medical science emphasis.
I'm Tori. I'm a junior, environmental sustainability and geography major with a minor in communications. I'm hoping to go to grad school for urban planning at CJ. That's about it.
My name is Aaron Marfizo. I am a freshman at UNC. I was born in California, moved to Colorado at a young age, spent like most of my life here. I'm studying music here, and that's about it.
Alright.
No, I do not. Like, I don't know if you want me to explain, I feel as though any equal opportunity that is given to us is like a whole lot of bullshit. Like, it's not really an equal opportunity. Like, even me being from the South, I can tell you firsthand that, it's not equal.
It depends. I mean, yeah, we've gotten past the whole segregation thing, so that's good. I don't think that they're unequal. I think that race is no longer the problem now. It's become a thing of gender and sexual orientation. So races, for the most part, tend to be equal.
Okay, well, as a person, I feel like literally the only difference between people, black and white people, are their skin color. As a society, unfortunately, I don't feel like we view people in that way. I feel like regardless of who we are, how we look at somebody, what's going on, what's happening in our day-to-day lives and the society around us and our system that we have, that black people are prejudiced against in many more situations than white people. We all have certain privileges that we share from being different colors, different race, different religions, different sexualities, different genders, anything like that. But when it comes to the privileges that we share between white people and black people eventually do come up short. That's the unfortunate truth about our society.
No, because when you're black, there's certain shit you can't do. You can't be loud like your white friends might be. You can't color your hair like your white friends might want to. You can't dance the way your white friends might want to dance. And if you do, it's because it's not that you're being like fun. It's that your white friends are acting black and ghetto. Being black, I feel like, is much harder than it is to be white. Not saying that whites don't have their own set of hardships or whatnot, but I feel like it's much harder to be black than it is to be white because of the rules and guidelines that come with being black.
I think by standards of the government, they seem equal, but they're actually not in the social practices of our society. For example, white and black people smoke weed at the same exact rate, and black people are incarcerated, I believe it's 4 times more, or it might be higher than that, but in societal, like little things like that, like racial profiling, yeah, it's not in the law that they're less equal, but in the way that we practice things, in the way that our law system works, and just the treatment of people isn't equal.
I feel like black and white people are equal. Yes and no. Definitely yes and no. Yes, we're equal in the sense that we are all human beings, we're all people. But no in the sense that I definitely agree that, like, I guess materialistically and socially, white people hold a higher stature.
The National Urban League, which was founded September 1910, is a nonpartisan civil rights organization. They publish a book each year by the name of State of Black America. In these books are an index of countless statistics regarding economics, health, education, social justice, and civic engagement between black and white Americans. These numbers average to a 71.7% of equality. That means that 28% is missing from this pie of equality, whereas white Americans have the full 100%.
I guess it means having an obvious, like, racial bias towards somebody and, like, not talking about it or not admitting it. Like, I don't know, I can go up to almost anybody and, like, ask, oh, are you racist? And they'll be like, no, of course, rough talk, but, you know, of course, like, they'll do some that, you know, resembles otherwise, you know what I'm saying? Like, their actions will say something else than what's actually physically coming out their mouth, and I think that's colorblind racism.
I don't understand why it's called colorblind racism, because it's kind of like the opposite. Because it's not technically racism. It's not the way it's been explained, as we use it in theater, as like when people come in for auditions, we call colorblind auditions. Like, we're not looking at the race, we're looking at the acting quality. So it's kind of like we're not looking at the race, we're looking at the person.
Colorblind racism. It's not a term I'm incredibly familiar with. There's one that I've heard around a lot. It actually was just introduced to me this year, and I actually haven't really learned much about it, but my personal interpretation of colorblind racism is like a prejudice against somebody regardless of what their color might be. So it's just disliking somebody for a different kind of, or for a different sort of reason, not necessarily for their skin color, but maybe from their actual ethnicity, their actual upbringing, their background, what they might be just genetically prior to that instead of the actual skin tone.
I would say it's someone or a group of people who are fairly, I want to say ignorant, but like they pretend like, oh no, I don't see color. Oh no, I didn't choose you because you're white, or I did not choose you because you're black. It's just you're more qualified, and you're like, wait, that doesn't make sense. It's like, I feel like it's a rationale for racist, being colorblind. Like, I don't see color. Everyone's the same to me. It was these guidelines, and you didn't meet this criteria. But then they make the criteria specifically so that you can't meet that criteria. It's like you're pretending like you don't see the color and like the differences between people.
the idea of saying like, oh, everyone's equal, I don't see color, where in reality we should be recognizing people's diversity and appreciating it and saying that we're not going to discriminate against it, but not being like, oh, I don't see any racism, like I don't see any race, we're all like whatever. That is harmful because it's saying I don't appreciate your diversity, I don't care about what you bring to the table, we're all just one big thing, when in reality I want to be seen as a woman and I want to be seen as all these different things and I want to be seen as like a blanket. We're all humans, which we are, and we should appreciate that we're all humans, but by saying like I'm not going to care about your diversity, that's how non-racist I am, that in itself is racist.
I guess it just sounds like prejudice to me, like a colorblind racism would just be a prejudgment.
For me, the best definition of colorblind racism can be defined in the book The Trouble with Friendship: Why Americans Can't Think Straight About Race. It says, "Pop shows its audience that racism is nothing but personal hatred, and that when hatred ends, racism ends.
The main one is just like, I don't know, imprisonment, you know, how the large number of black people being thrown in jail, you know, like it's just ridiculous. By the age of 18, 30% of black people are arrested. By the age of by the age of 23, 50% are arrested. Like, that's just ridiculous. There's like the Baron Trade law in South Carolina that they use. It's the law against congregation. And they use that law anywhere in the hood or anywhere in like a mainly black or Hispanic neighborhood, and it's pretty much they have the right to like search and stop you if you're with more than one or two people. You know, it's against groups pretty much. Congregation, they use them, they abuse it. You know?
I don't see them because the stuff that I watch doesn't necessarily handle that topic at all.
There's no media that you see at all that deals with racial inequality, maybe bias towards a certain race at all.
At least I don't perceive it that way.
There's a lot that you can see from day to day, such as when you open up a newspaper, the number of white people versus black people you'll see in the newspaper, or white people versus Hispanic people, or white people versus anybody you'll see in any sort of tabloid you see today. It's a drastic difference. You'll see maybe one black person to 8 white person ratio. The same can be said for our TV shows, the same can be said for our newscasts, the same can be said for movies. Basically anything we have that isn't dependent on that racial stereotype, then you'll see a predominantly white setting in that.
I wouldn't say like news and stuff, because I don't really watch the news, but like even just seeing things like on my Facebook or my Twitter, it's like I see a lot of I would say like there's a lot of blacks who are contributing to the discrimination and the racism and the they think I'm this, so I must be this, and just like conforming to that stereotype of what a black person is supposed to be. So it's like we're going around calling each other, then we're going around calling females going around calling each other. That's my and then but if like a white girl calls a white girl that's outside of a black girl group, or 2 or more people calls one of those black girls, that's my like, then you get offended. But like, you call your friend that she just watched you call your friend your so she's doing what you did. Like, it's a lot of double standards and things like that, and it's really annoying.
I mean, honestly, I don't watch that much. I know that there's a lack of discussion around the idea that all shows seem to be perpetuating just white families, white straight families, the typical like 2.2 kids and a dog. There's some talk about what's going on as in like inequalities, but it's usually on like a 60 Minutes or something like that. It's never a show that's breaking the norm of having a white family, unless you look at Modern Family, where they have a bunch of different dynamics on there.
I see, one end of the spectrum, playing the victim, It's, these poor, black people, these poor minorities, we have to, compensate them, and we have to be certain to not offend them, in any way possible, to the point where it's just obnoxiously just this is offending me, that, something that is not an issue, shouldn't be a real issue.
Damn, that's a hard question, D. Is there any way? I don't know, dude. I think the way was the revolution, but that died pretty heavily. And I think the only way for that to start up again is to get black people angry and to get black people ready to fight for something again. But then the question is, fight for what? Look for what? Because to most people, yeah, we got it pretty good. I don't know. Back in the day during the movement, some people didn't even really the civil rights movement because it ain't that bad. I ain't trying to start no trouble. And that's how I feel like we're stuck in now. It's nobody's trying to start no trouble because it's just going to end in some type of brutality and some type of violence. But people don't want to have to go through that, have to sacrifice it.
You know how we fix it? By not being a That's how we fix it. We fix it by being nice to each other. We fix it by giving the equal pay to everybody. We fix it with communism. No, we don't fix it with communism. That's a bad idea. Don't do that. No communism. No, but honestly, we have a black president. If people are still being jerks about how much somebody's getting paid, honestly, I don't think there is going to be a way to fix it. It's just racism's always going to exist. There's always going to be inequality. I think it's just a matter of accepting it and getting over it.
Well, it really comes down to basic personal knowledge. Because if you choose to educate yourself on this sort of issue by yourself, then that's great. You're helping fight the racial inequality by yourself, but as our society, it's not going to make any sort of impact because you're one person against billions of other people. Just simply millions in America, but there are billions of other people in the world who are completely, blatantly just oblivious to this sort of problem. It really is this sort of point with any other sort of problem in the world. But if we are able to get more and more people educated on this sort of issue, more and more classes being offered, free workshops, anything like that, then we can start to go against this stereotypical, almost aesthetic that our society has given these sort of topics. We can start to go against those sort of ideas once we can start as a society fighting against it. But it's not going to happen until we can fight it on the macro level instead of micro level. First off, we can try to petition against news media doing what they do in regards to racial stereotyping. We can petition against tabloids. We can petition against newspapers. We can try to get more people integrated into what we're doing. We can try to help people understand things that are going on more. We can put more education into lesser learned areas in the country, all sorts of things like that, just to try to get a general knowledge of these issues that are happening.
You have some good questions. I feel like first, black people need to realize, all black people need to realize, you're black. Because I feel like there's a lot of, oh, I'm black, but because of this certain trait, or because my great granddaddy was white, I don't count. There's a lot of blacks who don't own being black. There's a lot of exceptions to the rule, but it's I feel like if I'm the same color as most of my friends, and I feel like even people who aren't my friends, if I'm treated this way because of my skin color, you're not. Just because your great granddaddy was white doesn't mean that you're gonna be treated differently. So I feel like black people need to realize that they're black. We all need to realize we are black, and that just just because our ancestors were a certain race doesn't make us like fit in a different subcategory. And like we all need to like, we'd have to all band together in order to like fix the problem and fix the issue and cause some kind of an uproar or something to make someone pay some kind of attention, to get some kind of justice. You can't like you can't just get like a petition like this. It's not gonna work. Something bigger, something to cause, something to that people have to write about in textbooks. Whether they represent it well or not would be a question, but like something worth talking about.
I think the biggest thing is people talking about it, and an even bigger thing is white people talking about it. You know, anyone with privilege, whether it being straight or male, Christian, anything like that, their opinion is automatically more credible than someone of a subordinate identity, just because people can use their put downs that they have for subordinate identities while someone of that identity is speaking about it. Whereas if I'm talking about issues that are facing the Black community, I'm not gonna have some racist white guy telling me that I don't know what I'm talking about because I'm a dumb person. Like, if I'm standing up for people that can't stand up for themselves, then that's gonna start bringing more attention to it. I mean, and maybe that's wrong, maybe that's not what subordinate identities want in an ally. As an ally, you know, we need to be doing what the community wants. We don't need to tell them what they need. We need to listen to what they need and what they want us to do. But at the same time, we can't be as ignorant about it as we have been.
Can we fix it? I am optimistic. I'm also very realistic. But I certainly, you know, yeah, we can, of course we can fix it. Fixing is like a very weird word to use. I think we can improve it. I think we can, maybe not necessarily like redistribute the wealth, which honestly would help. Not to get into any of that, but I guess in terms of like people's perception of race, of course I want everybody, to see race and like see heritage and like that is a part of a person, that's a person's identity. But the point where it like really influences like interaction beyond the point of like, I don't know, the initial connection will obviously take time to improve. I think if improvements are going to be made, it'll probably be with like through just education, through another generation. It's just like time. I don't know. If you look at like the last generation and the generation before that, like race was a huge issue. Race is a huge issue. Race is, now less of an issue. And we're all progressing. I don't know necessarily to what. There's definitely two ends of the spectrum where like racially it is perpetuated by both sides. We're all individuals. We all, and so like, the individual person makes a small effect, but we are the majority. We're the true majority. To get off our ass and like start doing stuff. Look at the 60s. Those kids were off, they're getting shit done. Like, so we can, of course, I'm sure our generation's gonna rise to the occasion. I have faith in that. Like, there's definitely, I mean, you talk to anybody, everybody's agreeing. Something's coming up. There's definitely like, not a revolution, but like a social renaissance, like a new age of enlightenment. Well, the way to change it is to be proactive. Everybody's very passive right now. Somebody's just gonna step up. Hopefully, maybe I'm that person, maybe you're that person, who knows? But I definitely think we're just gonna rise to the occasion, and whatever the details of that process is, it's gonna get done. I'm just positive on that.
So now, I ask you, the audience, what do you think we should do to make a more equal society? And what are the steps that we can take so we can get there.